So, should I twist again?
No, don't.
No. Like I did last summer?
Chubby checker.
I'm sorry?
Is that the right answer, chubby checker?
Not as far as I'm aware, no. Although he did record Let's Twist Again last summer. 4% of people thought Will Carling should be sacked. Not for his run-in with the rugby selectors, surprisingly, but for his commercials for Quorn. 3% of the population...
we've got a bit of pot and kettle there, haven't we, Angus?
Well, I don't advertise Quorn.
Compared to some of the ones you've done. That one with the snake.
I like that.
All right, this
I
is
don't
Angus
remember being in that one.
Give us your money.
It's incredible, isn't it? Prince Charles, me. It's almost as if
I
I'm
can do Peter Lorre. You know, from Casablanca, Maltese Falcon.
How's it going?
Go on. You despise me, don't you?
So the winner of that round was Ian with 21, and that means that his resultant 4 points means that the score now reads 8 points to 4 in Ian and Frank's favour. And so to the familiar, if often hostile territory, that is our odd one out round. Paul, your famous faces are Norma Early, John Rind, Fred Funk and Geraldine Gromish.
That's impossible. Is Geraldine Gromish the only one who's had an exclusion zone put around her by the United Nations?
Could be a dead circle.
Yeah. Well, let's see. I mean, let's assume the one at the bottom is a golf course. The woman lying down at the top, let's assume she was hit by a golf ball. Presumably, the odd one out is the golfer because he's hit everybody else with a golf ball and they've gone into various stages of madness afterwards.
Fred Funk is the odd one out because he's the only one who's had a pair of shoes named after him.
Are they Fred you shoes?
They're Funk me shoes, that's all.
Is it Chubby Checker?
No.
Who's Chubby Checker?
So is it Fred?
Chubby Checker, let's twist again.
Chubby Checker.
Now, let Ian tell you who Chubby Checker is.
Impression? You with me?
Oh, no, I know, yeah.
He's there.
It'll never be as good as his Jimmy Somerville's anyway, so... which he's doing at the moment.
Twist again! It's now turned into new faces, isn't it? What marks would you give for star quality? So, am I right?
I'm going to give you one. There's one element that you're missing. It is that they were all struck by golf balls which had been hit by a former US president.
Gerald Ford.
One by Ford and two by Bush at the Bob Hope Classic golf tournament in February, except Fred Funk. President Ford said he had been stretched to the limit by the difficulty of the course, particularly the bit where he had to get the ball through the gnome's house and into the little windmill. Raoul, you're famous for are these Frank Zappa, Mr. Spock, Hergé, creator of Tintin, and Uranus.
How did you get that photograph? Oh, the planet, sorry.
It's,
Hergé is Belgium.
Well done. Yes, he is. One of the...
Is that 1 point?
No. Sadly, it's not country of origin game.
Frank Zappa named one of his children Moon Unit. Mm-hmm. Right, now there must be there must be a space thing, mustn't there? It must be sort of...
Is Hergé the only one who drew a character who looks a bit like Ian? I mean that in the nicest possible way. Oh, I've let you down.
Snowy?
He's done Tintin, Prince Charles, Prince Somerville. No wonder Mike Yarwood can't get work.
I'll give you 1 point for saying lunar connections, which is the nearest that you got. It's that all of them have had heavenly bodies named after them, except the planet Uranus, or Uranus, as it now seems to be called. When we telephoned the BBC pronunciation unit, they denied there'd ever been a change in pronunciation, and said that it had always been called Uranus. What a load of complete bollocks. Frank, your four disparate souls are Michael Howard, Michael Howard, Michael Howard, and Michael Howard.
Is this the new BT advert? And the caption should be, listen or next time he's naked. I say it's Michael Howard.
You're guessing now, obviously.
Is it anything to do with the fact that you need passport photos for ID cards, which is what Michael Howard's trying to get in?
It's nowhere near, sadly, Frank, but the reason is
One of them is a good Home Secretary. No, sorry, stupid answer.
No. It's a more legal question, actually. Shall I tell you?
Yeah, go on.
OK. The odd one out is, thank you, surprisingly, Michael Howard, as all the others have been adjudged by the courts to have acted illegally. Last year, Michael Howard acted illegally by refusing to release new evidence that might have proved the innocence of the Bridgewater Four and several others. Only once in 4 instances did a judge come down in Michael Howard's favour over his assumed right to detain any foreigner in a detention centre indefinitely without charge. Still, at least it saves us finding a hotel room for Raoul tonight. Ian, your pick and mix consists of tickets for Oliver, tickets for Frankie Valli, 12 jars of honey and a blowpipe missile.
Well, this has got to be freebies, hasn't it? I think this is all things that MPs have declared in the register. This is a guess. But I would think that the MP who tables amendments on the honey and bees bill is probably bribed with 12 lots of honey.
Have you any idea who the people involved are, who the MPs are?
Is Wiggins bees? Because he's caravans and that sort of stuff. Is he bees?
Is Wiggins
caravans, same thing.
Yeah, exactly.
West Country, a lot of bees, a lot of caravans.
Yeah. I can
A lot of
see
people
the
make a mistake. They have a 2-week holiday, go home, oh, look, we're towing a bee. Where's the caravan? Happens all the time down there.
It's easily done.
You a football fan at all?
I'm a very big football fan.
You watch the European...
Of course, we
final?
won. Yeah, that's why I'm happy anyway.
Because I was watching it, Alan Parry, he must be about the worst football commentator there is, isn't he? I mean, he comes out with these things like, he said the other night, the way he's controlling this ball, you'd think he had magnetic boots.
He has.
Yeah, but a ball's not made of iron, is it?
Of course, if Duncan Ferguson had magnetic boots, he might have trapped the ball in prison.
Duncan Ferguson has just been sentenced to jail, everyone. Just in case
I thought it was a topical news show. Oh, must have got the wrong door. It's a blind date. So, yes. Is it number 1 who thinks a sexy suit is more important than a fancy hairdo? Or number 2? A little Dutch boy who once put his finger in Greg Dyke. Oh, or is it number 3?
The answer is that they've all been declared by MPs as gifts on the register of members' interests, except for the blowpipe missile. David Miller has never received a blowpipe missile, much as we'd like to see it happen, although he does instead receive large amounts of money from the arms business. He enters this in the register of MPs' interests as high-technology manufacturing. So if you see an entry marked high technology fiscal withdrawal, you'll know you've just taken part in an armed robbery. Which unsavoury revelations bring us bang to rights at the end of round 3, and it would appear that Paul and Raoul have a virtually lifeless 6, while Ian and Frank enjoy a vibrant 12. And so, in honour of Mr. and Mrs. Whitehead's prison sentences, we return to the law courts for our final missing words round. Yet again, it's our going down version, as we ask the panellists to fill in the blanks in the judge's verdicts. Man who stole a British Rail egg sandwich ordered to what?
Eat it.
Undergo psychotherapy.
Produce the evidence. 15 years. The rope.
No, undergo therapy was the nearest. See a psychiatrist is a not unreasonable answer. Next, 18 months detention for holding up an off licence with what?
Crowbar. Is it B?
George Best?
With B?
Yeah, with B. B-double-E. B.
I'll give you one. It's rat, actually. Next, man fined just 50p for his fine of 101st drunken conviction after court heard what?
He'd only got 50p.
Was that after court heard he was celebrating his 500th drunken conviction?
Absurd answer and completely correct. Well done. Next, £10 for what dressed as chicken?
For a man who went to House of Commons fancy dress ball dressed as a chicken. He won first prize.
Is the wrong answer.
Fancy dress, though, isn't it?
It is...
Is it Moroccan schoolboy?
Are you answering the same question?
I think so.
Running on stage during a performance of A Midsummer Night's Dream is what you were about to say, obviously.
How on earth is anyone in this studio or this country meant to get these answers right? What sort of quiz is this?
Well,
it's like saying, right, what's the answer? No question, what's the answer?
That's fair.
And we sit here going, Gibraltar, whiskey, mustard.
Well,
Can I take it from this that we're winning at the moment?
Oh, absolutely.
how did you get celebrating his 500th conviction, then?
I remembered it.
Well, that's what we were hoping you'd do with this one. Which you obviously didn't. And finally, libel victor settlement includes right to what journalist?
Murder? Has that been introduced? Well, I can't do questions about libel victors, since I've never won one.
Well, exactly.
Yeah, but
Well, I very nearly did last week. The judge threw the case out and told us both to go away and pay our own costs. And we called that a win. Thank you.
You may never have won a libel case, but you certainly know what a libel victor looks like.
Big fat eyebrows, two sons. Ooh.
I don't
You can
think...
edit that, love.
Edit that, love? Who's this now, Lionel
lawyer.
Blair? You can edit that, love?
Pelt custard pies at journalist was, in fact, the answer.
Well, I'll have that rather than £600,000 any day.
Which judicial mayhem brings the contest to an end, and the final sentence is as follows. This week's Dutch elms are Paul and Raoul with 10, whilst this week's English oaks are Ian and Frank with 17. The chance to have a hot date with Richard Gere to our winners, the chance to discuss the cost of living with his chiropodist to our losers. And I leave you with news that the 35th Mounted Gurkhas have arrived in Britain to give a useful demonstration of table napkin folding techniques. Cricket and England manager Ray Illingworth's new regime of exercise and cold showers begins a little sooner than Mike Atherton had anticipated. And once again, John Major finds himself in the wrong place at the wrong time.